to see all of you here this morning and not staying home to watch some silly soccer game that's about to start, which we won't talk about today. My name is Wim Sweldens, and I use the he and him as pronouns. I'd like to welcome all of you to the Beacon Unitarian Universalist congregation located right here in Summit of the land of the Lenni Lenape. If you're joining us on the live stream, welcome. Please say hi virtually or put your name in the chat and engage with Nicole Jacobson, who's our ministerial intern and who would love to chat with you. Hello, Nicole. Now, now for a moment, let's take a minute and start an old tradition and say hello to each other. Please say hi to your neighbor, introduce yourself, and welcome them. Hi.
How are you?
It's good to see you. Hello, John.
Hi. Good to see you all.
Thank you. I'm sure there's more to talk about, and you're more than welcome to continue your social conversations and greetings after our service upstairs in the Bambach balcony. Now, I would like to draw your attention for a minute to this beautiful piece of art that we're unveiling for the first time today. This backdrop and beautiful addition to our sanctuary made by our local resident artist, Helen Carr. Thank you, Helen. And put together by Chris Kellogg and Norm Miller. Thank you. Notice that this beautiful piece of art, the colors it has, the 4 seasons, each of which are represented in here. And notice this little detail that Helen just pointed out to me is that that little half sun you have all the way on the top, the upper half actually connects to our round window where the real sun comes through. So thank you for that. So also, please take a note of our new reusable program for any further details, or check the chat if you're online. If this is your first time here, please take this program home and consider joining us for a tour up front by the pulpit at the conclusion of our service. Now, let us take a moment and let us use this moment to bring ourselves, our full awareness into this space. Bring your strength, bring your wondering, bring your worries, your hopes, your vision, and even your despair. Light to light. We renew, recharge, and listen for call out across the earth to feed the human spirit, be beloved community, and heal the world.
So in honor of our new art installation, I invite you to stand in body or spirit and join in singing our first hymn, which is number 235. And as this art has decked our hall, I invite you to sing along and deck the hall. Deck the hall with boughs of holly, fa la 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 la. 'Tis the season to be jolly, fa la 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 la. Don we now our gay apparel, fa la 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 la. Troll the ancient Yuletide carol, fa la 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 la. See the blazing Yule before us, fa la 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 la. Strike the harp and join the chorus, fa la 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 great treasure. Fa la 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 la. Fast away the old year passes. Fa la 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 la. Hail the new ye lads and lasses. Fa la 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 la. Sing we joyous all together. Fa la 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 la. Heedless of the wind and weather. Fa la 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 la.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. My name is Tuli Patel and my pronouns are she, hers. We like this chalice. Robin likes this chalice. Symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith, as hundreds of other congregations are doing this morning, just as we are. This flame that invites us closer to celebrate wonder. The wonder of a fourth light of Advent as our period of waiting enters its final days. A flame that calls upon the stillness of the sun, seen in the Yule log of solstice, which we will light tonight at our service at 6:95. A flame that recalls the wonder and miracle of Hanukkah lights, the first of which will glow tonight. Flame of wonder, miracle, stillness, beacon of hope, light of beloved community. Come into the circle, let us worship.
As Dr. Tuli stole my opening line, I am Reverend Robin. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm honored to be a member of the lead ministry team here. In just a moment, as the screen indicates, we're going to share a video with you, a video from our partners in Barote, Transylvania. This video was created in celebration that this year it marks 30 years of partnership with Barote. And we are so honored and amazed at 30 years of partnerships, the relationships that have been forged in that time, lifelong relationships. The learning and wisdom that has been engendered by this partnership is really astounding. And that in the midst of the pandemic, we decided together to create a tri-partnership. We think we are the only Unitarian Universalist community in the world. How often can you say that? In the world that has a tri-partnership. Our tri-partners being in Jawai, India, and we are planning a trip in March. Some of our Unitarian siblings from Barote, along with us here in Summit, to travel to Jawai, India for the first time together. There's also, on your way out, for those of you who are here in person this morning, an exhibit showing some photos and also some gifts that we have received from Barote. So, without further ado, 30 years of partnership.
And made it important for the Unitarian community in two different parts of the world to come together. it is not just a relationship for many of us now, but a friendship. Many beautiful, many memories, many shared achievements, a lot of support that binds and connects people. Praise and blessing to the divine power that has protected this friendship. Appreciations for the many people who have been able to learn about each other's lives, customs, and cultures, to develop spiritually and intellectually.
My name is Attila. More than 10 years ago, when I joined this partnership, I was a little child. Since then, it has played a crucial role in my life, accompanying me through both difficult and good times, shaping my personality, my knowledge, and giving me lifelong friendships, a family, a community where I belong. I'm grateful to the community in Summit for the warm welcome we received during our visit there, with special thanks to my hosts, the Simbalas and the Cruz Perez family, whose care and dedication made my stay unforgettable and who I still consider my US family to this day. The campfire singings, the trips, the precious thought-provoking discussions, the games played together, those are among my most cherished memories. Last but not least, I am thankful to this partnership for supporting me during my studies, for allowing me to progress without any obstacles, for motivating me to stick to my goals, so now I can be a graduating master's student. I will forever keep this community, the shared moments in my heart. I am lucky to be part of it, to have experienced the power of belonging and shared values that binds us together even across oceans. Thank you so much.
We already feel that the times we spent together and we got to know each other's congregation and experienced our cultures and way of life became decisive parts of our lives. In this way, I can compare this relationship to a family, not only because it has been continuing for 30 years, but because of how close we feel to each other. We cannot be more grateful to look back and remember all the times we spent together looking into each other's eyes, may that be from the computer screen or face to face, and as family giving gratitude for the past 30 years and the many years to come. Thank you for the everlasting memories, and thank you for being there.
Hopefully, future generations will also bind the beautiful friendship to keep this friendly flame alive. We turn to God and ask Him to strengthen this friendship, to grant us many more blessed meetings when we can gather beautiful memories together. We give us the opportunity to dream a beautiful future together. Amen.
Service now over live stream, and we invite you to watch the full video on our website, sharing more photos, more memories. There's a little bit more of the video that we hope that you'll check out sometime in the coming weeks.
I invite you to join in singing hymn 352, which is Find a Stillness. And this music is a hymn tune from Transylvania. Find a stillness, hold a stillness, let the stillness carry me. Find the silence, hold the silence, let the silence carry me. In the Spirit, by the Spirit, with the Spirit giving power, I will find true harmony. me flower, help me flower, watch me flower, carry me in the Spirit, by the Spirit, with the Spirit giving power, I will find true harmony.
Morning. My name is Kit Stinson. I am one of the chaplains here at Beacon. The chaplain's role is to extend spiritual care of our community in a number of ways, and one of those ways is through shared rituals such as the community candle lighting that we're about to celebrate this morning. Together, we light candles of sorrow, of joy, and of gratitude. Today, we light a candle of sorrow for everyone in Louisiana and across the South, everyone who struggles to rebuild their lives after some 20 tornadoes touched down in the state. I read anything from 15 to 25 tornadoes in the space of 24 hours. It's almost unimaginable. We join in sorrow, too, on the 10th anniversary a few days ago of the horrific murders at Sandy Hook Elementary School. And closer to home, we light a candle of support for Rosina and Jason Hill-Jackson, who had a serious house fire in their kitchen last Monday. Everyone is safe, but many things were lost, including household items, children's toys, and memories of all kinds. The Hill-Jacksons are living in temporary quarters right now while the smoke damage is cleared. The Beacon community is coming together in a number of ways to support the family, and if you'd like to know more about the efforts underway and how you might be able to help, please speak with Reverend Robin or with one of the Beacon chaplains. This morning, we light a candle of remembrance in honor of Tankama Chaco, mother to longtime Beacon members Varki Chaco and mother-in-law to Madura Chaco. She passed away last Friday evening at the age of 99. And in the words of Reverend Robin, Tankama was an incredible woman who, among many things, had her PhD and was aware to the very end of her life. We light a candle of joy today for the signing into law on December 13th of the Respect for Marriage Act. This legislation repeals the highly imperfect Defense of Marriage Act that was enacted under President Clinton, and it requires the U.S. government and all states and territories to recognize the validity of same-sex and interracial civil marriages in the United States. And finally, we light a candle of gratitude for the freedom we all enjoy to observe holidays or not to observe holidays or to make up our own holidays and invent new traditions. For all this and so much more, I invite you now to come forward and light a candle here in our sanctuary or wherever you are.
a song for Hanukkah. Ma'o sur Yeshuati, lechana el shabeach, tikon beit tefilati, v'sham todan izabeach, la'et achin matbeach, mitzaraham nabeach, azigmor v'shir mizmor, Hanukat hamizbeach, azigmor v'shir mizmor, Hanukat hamizbeach.
Thank you, Misa. Thank you, John. I invite you into a time of quiet and meditation. Find a comfortable spot, something that you can hold for 3 to 5 minutes. I know that for some of us, this is the only time we've had to settle in these busy weeks. So I invite you to close your eyes or gaze at a spot in front of you. As you settle in, scan the body first, noticing without judgment, without analysis, what is happening to the physical self. Notice feet on the floor, back against the chair, seat supporting you, holding you upright. And consider the internal weather system, what is happening in the climate on the inside of our body, what emotions are arising. Our theme for this month is wonder, and our bodies are wondrous things. Even through pain and suffering and injury, our bodies are wondrous. There are entire galaxies inside our bodies, galaxies of cells and tissue and sinew, universes of connections, electrical pulsations. Entire worlds are held within our bodies. We look upwards into stars that evoke wonder. We can also turn our gaze inwards. We might not be able to see these internal galaxies and universes, but they are there. Spend a few moments noticing them, imagining them, giving thanks for them. And people who we come across in this world, other beings that walk this planet, also have similar galaxies, similar universes. We are all bound together. As the breath travels in the body, notice the points of contact it makes. Through the nostrils, down past the back of the throat, traveling its own trajectory into the lungs and further out into the bronchioles. And on the out-breath, the journey is reversed. At every moment, the breath is carving a path through the universe. May we always keep the wonder of our physical selves that hold our experiences in the forefront of our minds. You are invited with your eyes still closed to allow the breath to lengthen, once again becoming aware of it, returning your attention to this time and space. And whenever you are ready, to gently open your eyes as I invite forward Elias Alderman for our offering.
Good morning.
Morning.
My name is Elias Alderman, and my pronouns are they, them. And I am 16 and will be turning 17 next month. Soon I'm applying for colleges, and as soon as I know it, I'll be packing up. It is like yesterday I was just learning how to walk, and now I'm growing up. And yes, it's scary, but it's change and a part of life. As of reading this, I am coming to my 1-year anniversary of me and my boyfriend. If you had told me a few years ago I would be in a committed relationship, I would have laughed in your face. Previous relationships have never been good for me. Most of them having me put in the work, in the significant other, and a lot of miscommunication. I stayed with that for a while because I was used to feeling it. But then I took a class here in Beacon, OWL, Our Whole Lives. I learned about healthy relationships, how I should treat myself better, and how I should put myself first. And that is the wonderful thing that I can say Beacon has, let me not say that. That is the wonderful thing that Beacon has given me, and they have also given me community and just a loving, welcoming environment. Without Beacon, I don't think I would have ever learned to put myself ahead of anyone else, and I wouldn't have made so many friends through youth group and youth retreats, and I am very grateful that Beacon has opened my mind about faith and religion and all that jazz. So I invite you to think about what Beacon has given you and what Beacon has provided for you and changed your thought process of and made you ponder about yourself. And while you do that, we will now be accepting the morning offering.
Thank you. Well done.
Love came down at Christmas. Love, a lovely love divine. Love was born at Christmas. Star and angels gave the sign. Love came down at Christmas. Love, a lovely love divine. Love was born at Christmas. Star and angels gave the sign. Love shall be our token. Love be yours and love be mine. Love to God and all of us. Love for plea and gift and sign. Love shall be our token. Love be yours and love be mine. Love to God and all of us. Love for plea and gift and sign. sign. Star and angels gave the sign.
Thank you, Misa. So we've never quite done something like this before, so you all are in for a treat. And we might be stumbling, but here we are. So this fall, Reverend Robin and I offered a course called This We Believe, which was a course that invited our group of 19 people, but we averaged around 12 on regular attendance, to come up with a communal understanding of Unitarian Universalist theology. There are at least 3 of you in this room who've taken the course, so sorry if this is a repeat, but here we go. And at the end of the course, we asked for feedback from our mighty attendants, and they gave us really interesting feedback, but one of the comments that really excited me was they said that the exchange between Robin and me reminded them of the show Car Talk. You know, Click and Clack, the Tappet brothers, right? So we thought, now that's really interesting, because like when we're going back and forth, we don't know what we're doing. We're just going back and forth, right? So we thought, oh, this might be interesting to do it live and do a Car Talk type show. So we put out a form that invited you to give your theological questions, and we have them. Misa has actually downloaded them, and she's going to be offering us the questions. We're not going to make it competitive. We are going to be like the Click and Clack Tappet brothers.
No, just a little competitive. Right. No.
Okay,
no.
she's going to
We're
compete.
not going to be competitive.
Right? Here we go. You have a little preview. So here we go. Misa.
The first question is, what is theology?
Oh, I got it. See,
Yeah.
I beat you.
Wait, how are we buzzing in? Are we doing the chalice like I suggested, Misa? No?
No.
Okay, so I'll take a first go, and then I'm sure that Robin will have much more to say. So theology will break down into theo, which is God, and ology, which is the study of, right? That's the traditional definition. But really, theology is a system of valuing, a system of saying what's important. And if you look beyond the sort of the dominant white European Eurocentric view of theology, we move from orthodoxy, which is study of the doctrine, to orthopraxy, which is how we practice religions. Particularly in the East, it's more about the practice than about the doctrine. Robin, tell us more about this car that we're trying to fix.
So I agree, it's a system of valuing, absolutely. But I don't think it has to have anything, it could have to do with God, but I don't think it has to have anything to do with God. And in fact, when we think about theology as limited to the space of God or no God, I actually think we open ourselves for other systems of valuing that we don't agree with to kind of quietly take over and start to form things in negative ways. So I think there are systems of valuing in our economy. I think there are systems of valuing in our politics. All of these things are imbued with what we believe or what we don't believe. And there's all kinds of even formal studies of theology that you might take in seminary that don't necessarily have anything to do with God. For example, ecclesiology, which is one of my favorite. Ecclesia meaning assembly, logos, study of. So it's the study of the assembly, or the ways we govern ourselves, the ways we make decisions, how we allocate power, all of those sorts of things. Ecclesiology. So that's a $2 word, at least.
Well, because Robin started us down the road, and I don't think this is in the questions because I had a peek at the questions. Robin has not had a peek
I have
at the
no
questions.
idea what's coming. I've had a nightmare like this,
she
in
literally
fact.
has no idea.
But,
and she must have asked me 20 times this morning, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? I'm like, just trust me.
I feel like
totally
it was
got
17, not 20. I feel like,
17
just
questions.
to be fair. Also,
Misa,
I'm not in my pajamas, so I don't think this is a nightmare.
Misa, I'm going to pause you because I think there's a continuation since Robin started us off on ecclesiology. So there is a contemporary theologian by the name of Rebecca Parker, Reverend Dr. Rebecca Parker, who wrote a book with Reverend, is he doctor as well, John Burens? Reverend John Burens.
I think Reverend John Burens.
Who was an intern
House for
minister
Hope.
here.
Ding, ding, ding.
What?
The title of the book. House for Hope.
House for Hope. She got the points. Here we go. So they wrote this book together, and John Burens was an intern here in the 70s, I want to say. And he was also president of the UUA. And they wrote this book called House for Hope. And essentially what Rebecca Parker says is that when you think about theology, you can take an architectural approach to it. So think about the different aspects of theology as the different parts of the house. And they go on to explain what each of those different parts of the house mean. So Robin, we might have forgotten from the course, but I have a little cheat sheet here.
Oh, go for it.
So you mentioned ecclesiology. What about eschatology? Tell us a little bit more about eschatology.
So now you're quizzing me. That's great. This is this is the dream
This
I've
is
had.
the nightmare?
Yes. I'm glad to see all my fears confirmed. No, eschatology is what you think about the end of your own life, the end of the world. Where does it all go, if anywhere at all? That's eschatology.
And for Burens and Parker, eschatology is what you would consider in the garden. Like you would be out in the garden, maybe looking out at the garden and consider.
And then, bam, a comet hits. No, sorry.
Well, it might.
Just kidding, making sure you're paying attention.
And then they go on to say, so when you enter the house, what's like one of the first things you have to do? You go in the door, and then you do what? Yeah, thank you. But in order to get in the door, you're sort of crossing a threshold, right? You're crossing from one area into the other, maybe from the pathway into the doorway. When you go from the living room into the kitchen, you're also crossing a doorway, a threshold. I know that in open plan houses, all the thresholds have been gone, but there are some thresholds, right? Like when you go to the bathroom or you go to some other areas. And that, they posit, is missiology, which is the same root as the words missive and message.
The threshold, not the bathroom, to be clear, is missiology.
Yes, the threshold is missiology, not the bathroom. Thank you, Robin.
Just checking.
Which is the message and has the same root as the word message and missive, which is what do we bring with us when we grow from one space to another. So even when you think about entering Beacon, and as Wim said, some of us are looking at the soccer scores. It's 0-0 so far. I am. That's what I brought with me when I crossed the threshold, okay? So this is missiology. What are you looking at?
I've just seen what else is in there, in the pulpit. Go ahead.
My phone is in there.
So missiology also is where we get the word mission. At Beacon, our mission is to be radically inclusive, to feed the human spirit and heal the world. So it's your purpose. Why do you go into the house? You could go into any house. Why'd you go into this house?
And then we have this word that I just love, which is soteriology. And Parker and Burens posit that soteriology occurs when we look upwards at our ceiling. I would see a bunch of cobwebs. Not here because it's been freshly painted, but in my home I would see a lot of cobwebs. Soteriology is how we consider our relationship to the divine and how our lives might end, yes?
Yeah, so salvation's a big topic, both among Unitarians and Universalists. Some of you have heard my joke that the way to remember the difference between the Unitarians and Universalists is that the Universalists believe God was too good to damn, and the Unitarians believe they were too good to be damned. But in all seriousness, there was a prominent figure, William Ellery Channing, Unitarian, who talked about instead of salvation being predestined, this was radical in the time that he was speaking, instead of salvation being all either predestined or humans having this inclination to do evil called concupiscence, that we instead were saved by character. Meaning we had the ability to choose between right and wrong. We could learn how to evolve. And so he emphasized this idea of salvation by character. Decades later, there are Unitarian Universalist theologians who take this salvation by character and now talk about salvation by community. That it's not just a rugged individualism of like, I get it all right solo and figure out what the right thing to do is, but I do that in the context of a community. And so that's our soteriology, is this idea of salvation, not in the sense of saving us from hell, because we don't believe in a hell as Unitarian Universalists, but salvation in the origin of the word salve, to heal. How is it that we are healed? How is it that we heal the world? We do that by community and by character.
Thank you, Robin. I am going to read what I have because I love this piece about pneumatology. Our windows from which we gaze outwards and others might look in are windows to the soul. This is pneumatology, where we consider the spirit among us. This is often where the mystical strands of many traditions show up. This word comes from the Greek word pneuma, which means breath or soul or spirit. In our picture of the house, pneumatology refers to the elements that surround the house, which are wind, fire, water, and earth. In Trinitarian Christianity, pneumatology is often used by religious thinkers to try to explain the component of the Trinity called the Holy Spirit. In Unitarian Universalism theology, Rebecca Parker says we have a distinctive pneumatology, our own particular perspective on spirit, which is our emphasis on the immediate presence of the spirit of life in all of life. This spirit is not something outside that comes to us occasionally as part of a God. For us, it is something that exists in all things, moves all things, in us and others, weaves us all together, sustains us, and transforms us. Anything to add?
Yes.
Go ahead.
No, I have nothing to add. I was just affirming.
I just wanted to say, going back to what you said originally about theology, sometimes when I meet people, they say, oh, church isn't a place for me, I'm an atheist. And I'm like, so am I, but I work in a church. And so the thing to raise up is atheism is a position on a theological spectrum. It doesn't mean that you don't have beliefs. It just means that you have a particular orientation. It doesn't mean the absence of something. It means that you're on a spectrum. So atheism and theism are on a spectrum as opposed to being either or.
I once heard a fantastic, now I do have something to say. I once heard a fantastic sermon by Reverend Christine Robinson, who was then in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Where is she now?
Retired.
Ah.
And she talked about, the title of her sermon said something like, all Unitarian Universalists are agnostics. And I was like, what? Which was the point, right? So then you
Yes.
come, yeah. And in the sermon, she said that we hold truth as agnostic, not in the sense of like, is there a God, isn't there a God? But we believe that actually no single human being can know the ultimate truth with a capital T, and that puts us theologically as agnostics. And that's why we can hold multiple spiritualities, multiple theologies in one community and still have an identity.
And that is also why we get criticized the most, as in, if you have such a agnostic approach to theology, then what are you about? Who are you, right? That becomes our criticism.
Values.
Yes, exactly. All right, Misa, I think we're ready for our next question.
Well, I think we only have about one more minute left.
What? Wait, we've got, I've got like sheaves.
They're good for 45 minutes, right?
Yeah, we can keep going.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're going to take it back.
I was given a directive before we started about how long to go. So the last question out of our list of questions would be, theologically speaking, can you describe the personal spiritual challenge and growth regarding the eighth principle that we can focus on?
This must have come in late because I didn't lay eyes on this one. Okay.
Ooh.
Tuli, that is why I emailed you last night.
I guess I didn't get that email. All right,
plot
okay.
thickens.
So eighth principle, the theological and spiritual work that we need to do. So first of all, in my observation, we need to move from the I to the we, which is why our course was not called this I believe, but this we believe, right? The second thing we need to delve into is intersectionality. So often I hear racism is something outside of ourselves, something that once we've checked the box and done the trainings, we're good. And we haven't understood how connected things are. We talk about the interdependent web of existence, but it doesn't somehow apply to racism, like that gets put in a different bucket. So to understand intersectionality and understand how economics, classism, poverty, climate justice are all interrelated, and at the heart is racism, because our system was designed to have oppressed people. The system works when you have haves and have-nots. It doesn't work when you break that down. That's what I gotta say.
Well, and that's a bit about what I was saying earlier, is when we think something isn't religious or isn't sacred space, and we cease to look at it as a system of valuing, that's when dominant or oppressive systems have all the ability to take over more. But when we see everything as imbued with value, everything as a question of our core ethics and morals, then we begin to understand and see that, the life of a congregation, of a spiritual community, can never be within the walls, right? It's in our bodies, it's in the lived community. So I think the spiritual work around becoming anti-racist, for me, is also going deeper into process theology. This idea that the sacred is unfolding, right? There's not a God who is a being who is fixed and eternal, but actually that potentiality of goodness is living in each of us and in the decisions we make as communities and the extent to which we're willing to change. So I think that the danger becomes if we think of religion or even our own learning as ever fixed, and we cease to understand ourselves as in process, and that the sacred is unfolding and changing because of that. And so that makes becoming anti-racist soul work, right? That is unfolding ourselves to the potentiality of goodness in each and every moment. And that is the work of healing or salvation, as I understand it.
And so we close with a reflection question for you all. What symbols of Unitarian Universalism speak to you today? What work are they calling you to do? What reflection path are you going to take? Thank you for indulging our Car Talk show.
Thank you, Tuli and Robin. Thank you, John O'Neill, for playing today and bringing your musicality, as always. And we want to also say thank you to, of course, our board greeters and our welcome and ushers, and to our AV team. I invite you to stand in body or spirit and join in singing our closing hymn, which is 118. You might not even need the hymnal for this, because it is This Little Light of Mine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Building up a world, building up a world. I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world. I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world. I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
I want to say special thank you to Tuli and Robin for this beautiful sermon in the spirit of Car Talk. Can I call your show Spirit Talk?
Spirit Talk, ooh.
I see a podcast coming.
I see a podcast coming.
I think if Click and Clack were here, they would end it with, "Don't preach like my brother." Anyway, it is time for a benediction.
Before we close with our benediction, I want to share with you all that we have Dogwood Farms here with us today. So if you are seeking out some last-minute gifts, they'll be available for purchase in the foyer, and we will have some coffee hour upstairs in Bumba Balcony.
Now it's time for benediction.
It is.
This we believe.
Love is the enduring force that guides us, holds us, and calls us daily to acts of liberation grounded in anti-racism.
Each human has worth and dignity. We are connected in an interdependent web of existence.
We must move toward beloved community. We believe in democracy and the discernment of mind and heart in the teachings of science and the unfolding experiences of many spiritualities and religions. Truth is not found on one path. This we believe.
Our faith is evolving. We open ourselves to learning, to listening to one another and seeking justice. This we believe. Our purpose is to be radically inclusive, feed the human spirit, and heal the world.
May the love that grounds our faith, animates our lives, and shines against the night sky call us to welcome the stranger, to believe in human goodness and live in accord with the great web of all life on earth. May that love fill you, hold you, and guide you until we meet again.